Let's freaking go, Arkansas fans. I'm looking at you. I'm also speaking to Auburn Tiger fans. I have to say, I have been somewhat impressed with Hank Brown, the Auburn quarterback who filled in for the struggling Peyton Thorne last week. He did some good things. We'll talk about that and some injury news that you have to know. Okay. As you know, Patrick Gustis, I know I'm not saying his name correctly at all. He's still going to be out. Jalen Braxton looks to be back. Addison Nichols, the starting center, looks to be back for Arkansas. So that is all good news. And then, of course, John Neighbors will join us today. Obviously, a very, very successful member of Arkansas media. So, as many of you know, I love watching Bobby Petrino's offenses. I've been watching him for so long now. And this marriage has been so good for Arkansas. I want you to really think about this from an Arkansas perspective. You guys are 2-1. You should be 3-0. You played really, really, really well in your loss. And I know a lot of you are sick and tired of hearing that. Oh, tell us again, expert, that we outgained them by 300 yards and twist the knife even further. Pour Salt Bay down my wounds. I get it. Okay. But I want it to be known that it is impressive that you have clicked on all cylinders offensively. And you have done so with really bad ball location from your quarterback. Like, really think about how freaking good you have been. And look, this is the brilliance of the modern day game. If you find the right play caller, everything changes. A lot of you are familiar with the New Orleans Saints. There wasn't a single team in the NFL that everyone felt more mid about than the New Orleans Saints. At least there were some teams out there that you were excited about the unknown, right? There were a lot more Chicago Bears fans excited about their team going into this year. They have looked absolutely terrible. They have been historically bad offensively because they had the shiny new toy that is Caleb Williams. And the Saints had Derek Carr. They have the same exact team as last year. And look at what they're doing now. Y'all, the play caller matters so freaking much in the modern game. Perfect example is LSU. LSU's got a first-year play caller, and things have been a little dicey at times. It's his first year at LSU. He's played called in the past. It is everything. It is absolutely everything. You can even make a case that the play caller, whoever that may be, or whoever running the offense right now, is more important than the head coach himself in a lot of instances. And the reason why I say that is because there are a lot of teams out there that would trade their head coach for their play caller. And I will tell you this from a film perspective because most of you watch me for that. Now, the funny thing about the film perspective stuff is I actually feel more comfortable doing this. I'm comfortable doing film studies. I really am. I did a deep one on Harrison Butker, the Chiefs, on my NFL channel today. God, that guy is so good. And I know a lot of Arkansas fans want Cam Little back or whatever. But I love film study, and a lot of you come here for the film breakdowns. I like talking everything. I like talking culture. I like talking I'm not a big NIL guy, but I like talking like just general college football stuff as much as I like breaking down film, if that makes sense. Still, I have watched this Arkansas run game be absolutely beautifully utilized throughout this season. And it is poetry when a good running game is working. I actually like watching a well-run running game more than a well-run passing attack, right? Because I do feel a good running game is harder to do than a good passing attack. I really do think so. And something else about a good running game is you're not really able to rep run game in the offseason. You know, in college football off seasons, there are 7-on-7 camps. Same thing in high school. There's 7-on-7 camps. There's a lot of throwing and catching amongst quarterback and receivers in the offseason. Y'all, it is hard as hell to be as good as Arkansas has been on the ground so far this year. And when I tell you that they are opening up big ass holes, they are opening up big ass holes. Actually, when I say that pretty fast, because I was oh shit. Yeah, big assholes. Sometimes you got to crack yourself up. I was meaning to say they're opening up big ass holes. Now, I wasn't, but when you say it fast, it kind of goes off as big assholes. All right, which can mean a lot of different things. Huh? Coming up on today's show, Tiana Trump. No, I'm just kidding. Big holes. That's even a pause-worthy thing. Anyway, we go straight to the comments. Is Petrino out coaching the talent right now? He is. I really do believe it. Has Petrino implemented 100% of the offense yet? Only he can really answer that. And honestly, really only he can answer that. Maybe he is withholding plays. This was my favorite Bobby Petrino story. So in, 2009, LSU beat Arkansas. And Bobby Petrino, on the ride back from BR, drew up a play from that game that he was going to run against LSU the next year. So the next year, he called a timeout and ran the play versus the best college defensive back of all time with Joe Adams. Okay. He ran the play and it burned Tyrann Mathieu. Coming out of a timeout, you should never burn second half timeouts unless you're doing it at the end of the game to save time or you're blowing out the other team. Bobby P is that guy, man. No matter how you say it, it's still the same. All right. I'm now putting that in my bank here. No, big ass holes. All right. This is via 247 site. My buddy Trey Biddy writes for it. I know a lot of you have asked about Trey Biddy coming on the show. I'll text him, see if he wants to do it. He's obviously very busy at 5 o'clock every day, but it's all good. I know I'm going to have the guest on at 5:30. John Neighbors coming up in a second. Nichols, Hudson Clark. I think Nichols is going to be back. And I think Nichols and Braxton are the two big ones. Okay. And of course, Jaden Wilson quit the team. They need to take him off the video game as well. If you quit the team, you shouldn't be on the video game either. I saw this Desmond James suspension. I hate that. I think he could be kind of decent. It's just this wide receiver rotation is so deep. All right. Now, I do want to bring up a story that has been discussed. I didn't know that this actually happened. So a lot of you are familiar. You know me personally, right? Some of you don't know that even though I'm an LSU fan, I played football and went to high school in Arkansas, okay? I have a lot of friends in Arkansas and I have a lot of sources in Fayetteville and all that stuff. I'm not really the source guy. Pretty much everything you hear is just my perspective on things. But occasionally, I get reached out to I get reached out to do for a quote for a story. So Best of Arkansas Sports reached out to me to give my opinion on what happened over the weekend with the former players and all of that. And I'll ask John Neighbors about it because it's been a big story this week. And they wanted to know how LSU does it and how other programs do it. And for those that aren't too familiar with the story, apparently I've been so into the NFL, doing my stuff for the NFL channel, but apparently it was Joe Adams, and I'm drawing a blank on all the other players. I could Google it, but you guys let me know who all the players are in the chat, because it's basically all the same story. I do not know the specific details. Okay, so the way it's done at LSU, or at least the way I understand it to be done, I actually know one of the people that does this at LSU. It is a little bit different at other schools because the former LSU players and the former Alabama players and the former Ohio State players are millionaires. Okay. Now, are there successful Arkansas NFL players? Yes. Obviously, Hunter Henry had a very big week this past weekend for the Patriots. Yeah, there's plenty of successful Arkansas NFL players. Dietrich Wise, obviously, is a millionaire many times over. Trey Flowers had a very successful NFL career, and so on and so on. But there's not really a Tyrann Mathieu or, a Derrick Henry or someone like that that's going into the Pro Football Hall of Fame and have millions upon millions of dollars. And what a lot of those guys do that get open access, they can walk in whenever they want, is they have a person that they contact that works for the university, and you always give them a heads up. You always, always, always give them a heads up. Okay. And what the person does is they tell you what all they have in store, right? They'll take you down to the field. They'll do all of that, right? Obviously, Steve Atwater is definitely an Arkansas great. So I'm not. A lot of you think I'm just pouring salt on Arkansas. No, it's just the truth. Okay, so for instance, Tyrann Mathieu. I'm not close to Tyrann. He's one of my favorite LSU players. So don't know him as well as some of the other greats that have played at LSU. So Tyrann Mathieu donated $1 million for the LSU practice facility, for the LSU lounge. It wasn't a facility; it was just like a lounge, and it's very nice. Okay, so they have liaisons that deal with that. Now I don't know if Arkansas has liaisons either, but I would like to think that they do, or they have people that are like de facto people that do that. Okay. So I'm of the belief that because this was a big former players weekend, right? Matt Jones got honored and all that stuff. And it was the very first home game. You should have just let them in. But on the player side of it, how much of a heads up do you have to give? How formal was it? All those details are very, very, very important. But I will also say, it who you are does matter. Okay. Now, Kingsley points out Jason Peters. Once again, it's not me. I never said Arkansas didn't have like all-time greats that aren't multimillionaires many times over. It's just you don't have as many as some of these other premium schools. And yeah, so like if Tyrann Mathieu were to walk up to the LSU practice facility, or Joe Burrow or someone, they can basically go wherever they want, whenever they want. But LSU has a very like intricate system on how all of that is handled. But I don't know how all of it's handled at Arkansas. But Best of Arkansas reached out to me to get my opinion on the story, and you can go read the article. They went into deep detail. It was Eric Boland's article, and I know Andrew Hutchinson wrote some there as well. It is a very weird topic, to say the least. Okay. Okay. Mark, good to see you. See, Steve Atwater, the GOAT. Sean Andrews, shout out Camden, Arkansas. Let's go. Love Camden. Love their football program. Now I do. You can't be where I'm from and be a huge Camden fan. But I like them. I'll put it like that. Now, as far as current Razorbacks are concerned, I want to talk about a few players who I think low-key had big days. I felt like this was a huge game for Landon Jackson. I think the final play of the game was really freaking impressive. And look, I don't always agree with PFF grades. I normally try, and I'm a PFF subscriber and the elite grades and all that stuff. I normally try to not dive too deep into the PFF grades. I normally don't look at them until I am done doing the film study of the program that I'm doing the film study on, because I don't want that to sway how I view the game, if that makes sense. Um, but I'll tell you this: I felt Landon Jackson did some really good things versus UAB. I really, really, really did. I know Xavier Sorey had that really bad penalty versus Oklahoma State, and he had a few mistakes in this UAB game. I still think he has a chance to put together a good season. I felt Metcalf took a step back in this game, but you're going to have some bad games. You're going to have some good games. Arkansas defensively is really good versus Oklahoma State. And this past weekend, they got punched. They got punched in the mouth a little bit by Trent Dilfer. But then again, you have to look at it from this vantage point as well. Okay. UAB, this was their Super Bowl, coming off a big beatdown loss versus their former coach. You had to know going in with a pretty interesting senior quarterback in Jacob Zeno that they were going to put up a fight. So I do think there is a bit of an overreaction to Arkansas struggling with UAB. The run game was good. Taylen Green did some good things. He also did some bad things. Actually did a lot of bad things. But his explosive playmaking ability is so big. And the one thing I think people underrate about Taylen Green is when you have an athletic marvel at quarterback, it makes your run game that much better. It really, really, really does. So keep that in mind, because every little analytical study that's ever been done on elite runners at the quarterback position shows that the existence of the dual threat ability at quarterback makes your run game that much better. It really does. Okay. Let's get to a few things before I share a few thoughts on Hugh Freeze. Jaquindon Jackson, top 3 SEC running back the rest of the season. Honestly, yes. And it would not shock me if he finishes 1 overall. Now, I'm not going to sit here and tell you he's the best NFL prospect. I'm not. There are definitely better guys with high-end NFL potential. Okay. But he very well could be the best. And I felt going into the season, like when you steam up a player as much as I did Jaquindon, you feel bad if that player isn't good, because you guys come to me for an objective opinion, and I really have I don't really get anything out of Jaquindon Jackson being good or bad because I'm not a fan of the team. But, I try not to overhype any players. I try not to. But Jaquindon Jackson, every single film study that we did was on Jaquindon Jackson being very good, like very, very, very good. And none of this shocks me. None of it. I thought Taylen Green's existence would make him better, which it has. I thought Bobby's run schemes would be a lot better, and it's been that way. So he's so good. He is so damn good. And you are very lucky to have him and enjoy him for this season, because he's really been that good. Reminds you a lot of a Jonathan Williams. They were very similar kind of players. And yeah, I really love watching him. I love his story as well. Now, I want to talk some Hugh Freeze. I think Hugh Freeze is a very difficult guy to prepare for. They have made the right decision to bench Peyton Thorne. And let me make sure. Hank Brown will remain the starter. It would be crazy to me that he isn't the starter next week. Auburn actually won and actually did some good things offensively, and I don't think that they had their best receiver, Cam Coleman, available. I think Hugh Freeze is a lot to deal with. Now, we could get into a debate about morality. And when it comes to morals, there's a lot of people that don't like Hugh Freeze. And I get it. And a lot of those reasons are justified in many ways. But we're talking about between the white lines and between the headsets. He's been mostly pretty good. And I don't want to fully judge Hugh Freeze just because he picked the wrong quarterback out of the portal in Peyton Thorne. Because Peyton Thorne isn't good. And one thing about Peyton Thorne, who won't be the quarterback for Auburn this weekend, let me be clear, he'll probably play some because he is a good runner, but Peyton Thorne, there is a reason why he was so good at Michigan State. Because while at Michigan State, he had Jayden Reed. Jayden Reed is one of the best receivers in the NFL. He plays for the Packers. He's only a year two guy, and he's dominating the NFL. He didn't have Jordan Love this last weekend and still had a good game. And he also had Keon Coleman, who's a rookie for the Bills, hadn't really done anything, but he was really good at Michigan State. Then he transferred to Florida State, and then Peyton Thorne went to Auburn, and he didn't have Jayden Reed anymore, and he didn't have Keon Coleman anymore. And one more thing about Jayden Reed was his high school teammate. So Peyton Thorne was playing with huge unfair advantages. And the year before that, he had Kenneth Walker, who has been a really good NFL running back in his short NFL career. So the guy was just loaded with offensive talent. He also had Jalen Naylor, who's also a wide receiver for the Vikings. So it's not really a shock that he was good at Michigan State, and he has just sucked up to this point at Auburn. So I think Hugh Freeze's data up to this point is a little misleading. I understand why he wanted Peyton Thorne. You're getting a year 5 and year 6 quarterback who put up decent numbers in the Big Ten, but it turned out he was more of a product of the ridiculously talented skill guys around him. Like, it's rare that Michigan State has 4 skill guys from the same offense go to the NFL and dominate. Now, Michigan State has actually had a high amount of skill guys that have done well. Kirk Cousins is one of them. Obviously, Le'Veon Bell. So, Thorne wasn't really that great. Hank Brown had a good game this past weekend. I think PFF, I saw an article that said PFF had him as a top 3 passer. But then again, it wasn't the season that you expected, or it wasn't the game. You weren't expecting that game to be anything this past weekend. Now, let's go to Jeremy. Let me see. What did I do with? Oh, it's right here. I'm an idiot. Jeremy says, could you not say the same about Green that you could say about Thorne? You can. It is a little concerning. Taylen Green is a very inaccurate, very inconsistent, but really good at running quarterback. Okay. Peyton Thorne, though, is not near the caliber of runner as Taylen Green. He is a very, very, very good runner. But Taylen Green is, on a scale of 1 to Lamar Jackson, he's probably like a Jalen Hurts level runner. If you were ranking the best runners at the quarterback position in the SEC, Milroe would probably be 1. And then Green is probably number 2. I know Ashford and Lagway are very good runners as well, but they're backups. Lagway might be the starter the rest of the year. Also, Marcel Reed at Texas A&M was very explosive this past weekend. Did y'all see Arch Manning? Arch has got some wheels. But outside of Milroe, there's not really anyone I could say is clear-cut better than Taylen Green as a runner. Now, an underrated runner is Jackson Arnold. All right, Jackson Arnold's a very good runner at Oklahoma. Jackson Dart is also a very good power runner in lane scheme. But I would say Taylen Green's number 2. I would put him around a Jalen Hurts in college level runner. That's about where he is. So on a scale of 1 to 10, and 10, of course, being Lamar Jackson, I would say Green is probably an 8 to an 8.5, which is really high, right? If Jaden Daniels and Lamar Jackson are 10, he's probably right there. And because of that, the reason I like having that level of a dual threat quarterback is he obviously raises the floor of your offense. And what I say all the time is floor is very important for a school like Arkansas. We talk about ceiling all the time, but a quarterback with a good floor is one that can make offense out of nothing. And Taylen Green can make a offense out of nothing. Now, where I would heavily criticize him up to this point is he has 2 pick sixes in the last 2 games, right? One he tackled before he could actually score, but they scored on the very next play. And then obviously he had the one versus Oklahoma State that should have been a touchdown, or at least a ball to Isaiah Satania that should have led to a field goal. Also, something else that really concerned me about Taylen Green's stat line is Tyrone Broden was open a lot in this game. Now, he dropped one deep pass, and then another one he slipped. But Broden got open. And Broden had a really good camp, as many of you know. Can't really get him going. Okay? But man, I mean, Taylen is just had it rough thrown. I mean, he really, really, really has. And I don't want to pile on him too much, because it's not like he's played terrible. But you can go back, and I got hate from a lot of Arkansas fans for my UAPB film study that I said, hey, there's some concerning stuff here. There's a lot of concerning stuff in this game. But some of y'all listened. Some of y'all had open ears, and I appreciate that. But that's part of why I'm here. I'm here to also have you guys disagree with me. There'll be a lot that you disagree with me on here. Let's go to TPG. He reminds you of Colin Kaepernick. Yeah, they are similar as runners, but Cap was a far better thrower and had a better arm. Let's see. Fred, Taylen and Broden needs to be benched. I would say neither needs to be benched. I mean, they're both doing good things. I mean, Broden had the rough game, but I think they both need to continue to play. I feel like Tesla's done some good things as well. But right now, the rotation should be Broden and Armstrong as your starters, and Tesla and Satania rotating behind them. Okay. Carson wants my take on Singleton versus Taylen Green. I've read the takes. I've read the comments. Hey, let's put Singleton in and let's move Taylen to another position. And what I would say about that is there are a lot of people that were anti Jaden Daniels at LSU. Okay. They're like, well, Jaden doesn't throw that well. We have a quarterback who's behind him that could throw, in Garrett Nussmeier, and he's been amazing this year. So why don't we move Jaden Daniels to receiver? You never want to do that. Okay, you don't want to do that. The first thing is you don't need another receiver. Arkansas does not need another receiver. Okay, what Taylen Green would give you, let's just say you are one of those people. What Taylen Green would give you as a receiver is not anything better than what you already have. So you don't want to do that. The second thing is you don't know if Singleton's any good. He's not played at all. It's a mystery box situation. I know what some of you would say, well, how do we know what we have in Singleton if we've not played him in an actual game? Well, if you were going to do that, you should have done that versus UAB, right? And I think more teams should do this. When you play a middle tier school like a UAB or whatever, let's say Arkansas's next non-Power 5 game will be Louisiana Tech. Okay. So if Arkansas is sitting at 5 wins before that game, you really do need to win that game versus Louisiana Tech to get the bowl eligibility. But let's just say Arkansas is sitting magically at 6 wins after Texas. I don't think any of y'all believe that, but let's just say that they are. Then Arkansas, it makes no sense to not play Malachi Singleton in the Louisiana Tech game to see what you have, right? But I don't think you make that change now. I just don't. And once again, I have been probably more critical of Taylen Green than most are willing to say out there, because ball location is a big, big, big freaking deal. Okay. It doesn't need to be perfect, right? I can be very forgiving of ball location. Okay. It does need to be better. Okay. Let's go to Kevin. He says, I think Arkansas's running game will be a problem for Auburn, or Auburn's passing will be a problem for Arkansas. Hogs have to keep the ball on the ground and eat clock. Yeah, I'm a believer in that as well. I've always been a believer in just running whatever offense is best for you. But I do think if you're on the road, it will behoove you to shorten the game versus Auburn. That's what you want to do. Okay. Let's see. Kings just says he has to be better. He thinks he will. Phil, bounce back performance from the defense coming this weekend in Auburn. Love the show. Bradley, I appreciate that, man. Thank you so much. I said a curse word a little bit earlier, but I didn't notice. So you missed out. Outside of the accuracy, Taylen is still thinking too much in the offense, leading to timing issues. Okay. Our secondary was missing Clark this week. Anyway, I hope Hudson's back next week. Metcalf had a rough game. He had a rough game. Now, maybe I'm overrating it. I'm not able to watch the Arkansas defense as close as I'm in the Arkansas offense. So you guys let me know if you thought Metcalf had a rough game. This is partially true, but okay, let's take the play that was the thumbnail image of the last film study that we did. Okay. UAB did a Tampa 2, or at least I thought it was a Tampa 2. Obviously, I'm not a coach. I'm not as well versed in coverage schemes and all that as they are. And what Tampa 2 basically is a variation of 3, right? It's a variation of cover 3 when you really think about it. All right. Brett Coleman did a very good deep dive on the origins of Tampa 2. If you guys are very interested, he's one of the best film analysts in the NFL. And one of the best concepts in 2019, LSU ran in this concept a lot versus 3 is Dagger. Dagger is a really, really good concept. And Bobby called up Dagger, okay? And Armstrong was wide open over the middle for a first down. And Taylen Green should have thrown him. I mean, he was looking right at him, and it was so open. He still could have ripped it. But he danced around and eventually found Armstrong standing in the same spot and threw a jump ball and ended up being a first down anyway. So it was a good result, but the process wasn't there. Okay. And what happens with quarterbacks like Taylen Green, and I saw this, I've seen this with other elite runners at QB. All right. There is a give and take with open passing concepts. If you have a quarterback like Brandon Allen or a quarterback like Garrett Nussmeier, who are just straight up pocket quarterbacks, And Brandon was an overall better runner than Nussmeier. But I'm just giving one modern example at LSU, and then obviously one from roughly a decade ago. If guys are opened up within the framework of the play, they're going to throw it. Whereas if you are a truly special athlete with the football in your hands, there's always that creeping thought, hey, I could just run around and go make a play, right? And that's why at the beginning of the season, I said the UAPB game could set Arkansas back instead of forward, right? Now, I am very public in saying you should always play a weak opponent week one, all right? But you really have to treat that game like it's a regular game, right? I highly recommend you go to the to my NFL channel, and what a lot of NFL players think, and I know a lot of people have different opinions on Harrison Butker or whatever. I did a video on him today, and it was just strictly on him as a football player. He's one of the best kickers of all time. He did this interview, or it was just in a post-game press conference. He said that he treats every single kick like it's the game-winning kick of the game. Okay. And you honestly have to treat every game rep like you're playing Alabama. Okay. Now, obviously, if you're winning 60-0, you shouldn't treat it like that, but you get my point. And what happened in the UAPB game was Taylen Green made a lot of freaking plays, Got on Pat McAfee show. They highlighted his crazy run in that game. But, you know, if you do that, but actually don't do what's actually going to work versus Texas, versus LSU or whatever, you're going to run into issues. And you've seen that over the past couple of weeks. Let's go to Bradley, our first super chat. Bradley, thank you so freaking much. I really appreciate that. We need to see more Braylon Russell and put Dominion on a milk carton. That guy is lost in the sauce. Okay. So Hill has obviously jumped Dominion in the pecking order, and we saw Braylon Russell pound in that touchdown run. I have never been a Rashad Dominion guy. You know, I don't know him as a person. Anytime I say I'm not this person or that person, it's nothing personal against them. It's just, you know, what the analytics say. And, you know, Dominion's a year 4 running back, I believe, or is a year 3. Either way, he's not really done anything special through at least 2 years. Okay. Normally at running back, you will see something in the first 2-ish years from that player, barring injury. Okay. So he is a year 3. Okay. Kingsley points out that Dominion is hurt. Still, let's just say, even though he is hurt, has he done anything up to this point where you would say, man, we are really missing him? Or are you just in a spot where, okay, he's hurt, I miss him as a depth piece, right? So at this point, he's had a few good plays, but him and AJ Green, I liked AJ Green a lot in terms of like the top end speed, but those two really struggled breaking tackles. All right. And ultimately playing running back in the SEC, the biggest difference makers aren't the fastest guys. It's the ones who can break tackles, right? You want to know why Jaquindon Jackson was such a big guy for me? The dude broke a lot of freaking tackles at Utah. That is, if you want to know how to evaluate a running back, that is the biggest thing you should look for. Okay. Now, there are other things, sure. Top end speed is nice. But if we judged everyone on top end speed, Jaquindon Jackson probably wouldn't even be top 5 of the past decade. I mean, he does not have that, but he's damn good. All right. There is a lot of nuance that comes with the running back position. A lot. Braylon Russell is an absolute tank. I like my running backs thick. All right. I get paused all the time when I say that on the NFL channel and on my LSU channel. Yo, I like my running backs how I like my peanut butter. Cold. Okay. Braylon Russell is thicker than cold peanut butter. That's how I like my RBs, man. Y'all, it's simple physics. if the SEC has the biggest and the fastest guys, and running back is a position where there is a lot of collisions, guess who I'm going to want holding the football? A big dude. That's what I normally want. Now, if you're not a big dude, you better be good at playing actual running back. All right, Dubinya's not the biggest guy. Does he have top end speed? Not really. Can he make people miss? Not really. Is he a good pass protector? In the Enos offense, he was abysmal. Then what am I missing? Jaquindon Jackson, top end speed, not the fastest. But everything else, he is so good. He is so damn good. So damn good. Makes people miss. Check. Hits the holes. Check. Presses holes and bounces to other holes. Check. Pass protection. Decent. Receiver out of the backfield. Not absolutely his specialty, but that's okay. Dual threat quarterbacks hardly ever check down anyway. So I love me some Jaquindon Jackson. He is a perfect fit for this offense, right? And everything I've said that would happen this year has happened with him. I get a lot wrong. In fact, this year I've gotten a lot wrong. I drafted a lot of Bryce Young in fantasy. That was me. I was disappointed with our defensive efforts in the first half. Seems like we look forward to Auburn and failed to game plan for UAB's game. What do I think? That's a very good way of looking at it. Okay. Now, let's talk about the Arkansas defense. Normally, if you have like kind of a hangover game from the week before, it's because you played a very emotional game versus Oklahoma State. But as many of you know, the defense, while they did play really well versus Oklahoma State, they didn't actually play a whole lot, right? Arkansas had long drives. They had a time of possession battle. There was a pick six in the game, which kept the defense off the field for a good portion of time. So they really didn't play a whole lot of plays. And it was an 11 a.m. game, so you didn't have the travel hangover of getting back in late. So, yeah, it's a emotional hangover from Oklahoma State where you choked away the game. It was a letdown to see what happened versus UAB because the defense played so well the week before. But I'll always come back. The worst thing for you to face when you're playing one of these win teams is a team that just got their ass kicked. And UAB got mollywopped by ULM. No one expected that. And Trent Dilfer is on a warm seat. Okay. So what happened? Well, a senior quarterback went into your house and did some good things. Number one for UAB did some good things. Defensively, they did some good things. Also, I was very proud at how that team rallied after they saw their player get stretchered, right? In particular, on the road, when you see a player get stretchered, it sucks. It is very, very, very hard to come back from that, right? It could also be a logistical nightmare that you can think about on the sideline. So I feel I was happy that UAB gave you a game. Another thing that is good about struggling versus a team like UAB is it does give you some adversity that you have to deal with, right? This was the second straight week where you had to deal with some major adversity. Okay. You had to come back from 10-0 down, and you didn't falter. Okay. Now, I was disappointed with our defensive efforts. You should be. Like, there's also the piece of that after I gave them all the excuses in the world. You've got to play better defense. You've got to tackle better. Okay. Now let's go over the scoring. So you held them to a field goal with the first drive. Okay. They drove down the field, and then the second field or the touchdown was off what should have been a pick six. So it was one play where Singletary shouldn't have given up contain. Okay. So that's an issue. That's a major issue. You've got to be able to hold contain in that spot. You just do. But I felt like they responded. They were good in the second half. You need your stars to really put this game away, and Landon Jackson did that. He saved Metcalf. Like, I've never seen, and I really do mean this, I have never seen a play where a guy got burned so unfreaking believably badly that also got an interception that was thrown directly to him. And that was only because of Landon Jackson. Okay, that was such a whale of a play. All right. Now, why is that relevant? Well, you guys saw, part of the reason why you're able to get back into that Arkansas game is because Landon Jackson was so big. I mean, the Alabama game last year is that Landon Jackson was so big in that game. A good pass rusher can be a great equalizer to a bad defense or a good defense. One of my most viral tweet of the SEC season is actually from Kentucky fans. There was a play in the Kentucky game where if they hit the drag on a mesh route, they win the game. It was in the fourth quarter, and their third string pass rusher, Georgia didn't have their first string pass rusher who's going to be a first round pick. They didn't have him in this game. So their third string pass rusher, I believe, is Walker, number 11. He made the play. He forced the quarterback to throw the football early. If he hits the mesh route, it's game over. So, a great pass rusher is the makeup on a bad Tinder date. Landon Jackson is the definition of the airbrush filter. Now, I got to say this, okay? I look at the analytics. Most of the analytics are men. Men, all right? You can do whatever you want. Men, you can do whatever you want. The nail painting, all that stuff, not for me, but you can do whatever you want with your life. I don't care. I really, really, really don't care. But this is a message for men and women. I hate the airbrush filter stuff. Okay? Now I know what y'all are going to say. Shut up and talk about football. We're giving you a $10 super chance to talk about football. But I'm sick and tired of this. I'm so freaking sick and tired of this. If you airbrush your filter with your niece or nephew, sons or whatever, sure. And you're only sending it to each other. But if I see another professional photo, or if every single photo you do has like an airbrush filter on it, stop it. It makes you look so ass. Okay? It makes you look so ass. I refuse to let my wife do airbrush filters. Refuse. Don't do that. Be yourself. Be comfortable in your own skin. Release your inhibition. Feel the rain on your own skin. Don't airbrush filter. Don't do it. I'm sick of it. So sick of it. Okay? Bigger problem with women than men, but men, you should never do it. I would prefer to see you in makeup than an airbrush filter. Don't do it. Right? Be yourself. Be your freaking self. If you're ugly like me, show your ugliness. All right? You can be the loneliest, most ugly person on the world, in the entire planet. It could be you. It could be you. But guess what? Someone out there is always trying to steal your identity. Someone out there is trying to be you. Okay? Now, I'm done with that rant. I go on random rants on these streams. 2021 Rocket Sanders or this year's DeQuindon Jackson? Oh, that's a good question. Because 2021 Rocket was a freaking beast. Or would that have been 2022 Rocket when he went for 1,000 plus yards? Wouldn't that be 2022 Rocket? Maybe 2021 Rocket was better than 2022 Rocket. I don't know. By the way, I do want to point this out. The thicker than cold peanut butter line is Deion Cole. I did not come up with that. Okay? Did not come up with that. I all my LSU fans, I always say the thicker than cold peanut butter line. That is Deion Cole. But I have a lot of other phrase for thickness too. Okay? I love my running backs thick. If you ever had to choose between thick or thin, in every walk of life, thick is better. Yeah, I was waiting for John Neighbors to hop on. I don't think he ever popped on. I sent him a message. I think he ghosted me. He told me he said he was going to be on location, but I think he ghosted me. Who did this happen? This was actually one of my LSU. Oh, this happened with I won't say who, but this happened with the bigger guests and neighbors on my LSU channel, and it was actually a very controversial show that I did. I had a guest on who I didn't know at the time pissed off a lot of people at LSU, and I thought he was ghosting me. I thought he was absolutely positively ghosting me, but no, he had something happen in his family. And he still hopped on, and he was on here for an hour. So maybe neighbors pops on, and we have him on for an hour. I don't know. Maybe he wanted. I don't know. I didn't catch his first one. Speaking of air, wait, does neighbors airbrush filter? Oh God. Well, maybe he was getting ready to come on the show. He's supposed to be on 30 minutes ago. Maybe he was getting ready to come on the show and he heard you say that. Wait. That I actually didn't know. I don't know. Does he airbrush filter? I went on that rant just on my own. Okay. Let me finish up TPGs here. Okay. He says, did we look forward? Oh, okay. Honestly, don't have a problem with men wearing makeup. I don't. Okay. Because if you know a lot of men in broadcasting, you have to wear makeup. You have to. The network executives make you do it. And it's just it. Okay. Um, it does make you look better on TV. Now, would I do it? Yeah, I would do it. I will say that when I did TV, I never once did the makeup thing. I'm serious. I never once did the makeup thing, but I never actually did local television. Now, I do want to point this out. Like the local TV stuff is so freaking hard to do. And I'm not talking about like the ones that just show up like a few days in like the anchor chair or whatever. That's hard to do as well. But like actual local news is so freaking hard to do. I never did it. I have a degree. They have a degree that trained me to do it. And I was like, this is not what I want to do. Now I got offered enough money to be sports anchor in Des Moines, Iowa. I would probably still say no, but if they paid enough, sure. Okay. But yes, I don't mind makeup. I do not mind makeup. Airbrush filter, can't do it. Can't do it. Now, here's what we're going to do. We're coming up on an hour. Next 5 to 10 minutes, I'll answer as many questions as we possibly can. If you super chat, we'll keep it going. Now, here's something else. I always want to make this fun. Obviously, Auburn has Jarquez Hunter. Very good player. Very good player. Also had some weird stuff happen in the past, but he's a very good player. Cam Coleman's a really good freshman receiver. I don't know if he's fully healthy. I haven't really watched a whole lot of Auburn's defense. Part of it is because so much of what you do defensively is based on what the offense does. All right. Defense is a very reactionary thing. I've not really seen Auburn's defense play someone yet. But that's not here nor there. Now, I want you right now to tell me, outside of Northwest Arkansas, what is the best city in Arkansas? Or we'll include Northwest Arkansas. Do you, watching this right now, you might live in Little Rock, you might live in Fayetteville, you might live in Jonesboro. God bless your heart if you do. Where is your favorite city in Arkansas? It might be Junction City. It might be Star City. It might be Livonia. It might be Maumelle. My favorite thing to do is just to go look at Friday night Arkansas high school football scores and just see like the random cities in Arkansas you never heard of. Like you see England, Arkansas, and you're like, what the hell? There's an England, Arkansas. Some of you might say Greenwood. So Hot Springs. Are you just saying that because that's where Sam Pittman wants to be? Farrell Hogman says Buena Vista. One of my really good friends lives in Buena Vista. Lots of good golf courses there. He's actually got some land off the golf course there, Ozark area. By the way, if you're in the market, I had someone actually reach out to me about this last week. If you are in the market for teeth, okay, I don't have good teeth, but that's because I haven't gone to these dentists yet. Sequoia Dental in Northwest Arkansas is where you should go. Okay, let them know I sent you. They'll probably hook you up. Sequoia Dental. Check them out. They're on Instagram. They do the whole cosmetic stuff, but they'll also just take care of your good old-fashioned teeth. I say old-fashioned. Yeah, they're going to do it like they used to, with no numbing. No, I'm just kidding. None of that gas. But they got the whole thing. All right. Kingston says, we almost have too many tight ends. Why not run something like the 07 Pats offense with 2 tight ends split out? That's a very good question. So let's talk about the best 2 tight end offense ever in the SEC. And no, it's not Hunter Henry and Jeremy Sprinkle. They're up there, though. They're up there. I mean, those 2 were freaking monsters. I will never forget that Mississippi State game. Those 2 were great players, okay? But the best 2 tight end duo in the history of the SEC is, I would say, Brock Bowers and Darnell Washington. And both of them are both really good pros. Like Brock Bowers might be the best tight end in the NFL already. He's been that good in the first couple of weeks. No duh. It's one of those obvious things, right? People were scared of the foot injury or he went to the Raiders. No. Transcendent players are transcendent players wherever they go. The huge benefit of having them on the field, though, is not splitting them out wide. Okay. Now, splitting them out wide some of the time does help. Okay. But the thing about splitting them out wide, so Kingsley, if you actually go back and looked at some of the some of the offseason clips, all right, and you can go to unnamed YouTube channel. I don't want to get in trouble again. You can go to that channel and see some of the practice clips, or you can check out the HUGH Sports Crew with Trey Biddy, because they won't be mad at you for looking at them. You can go look at the practice clips, and they did a lot of like Marquise Scum splitting them out wide. The issue with that is, if I were to choose between one of 2 things, would I prefer to play a wide receiver out wide, or would I prefer to play a tight end out wide? Well, I would much rather prefer to play a wide, or I would much rather prefer to play a tight end, unless that tight end is Rob Gronkowski or someone that is truly a transcendent mammoth of a tight end. There's just not really that many of them that are truly like transcendent receivers, right? The big benefit of having 2 tight ends on the field at once are the gaps it creates, okay? Now, another good thing about having your tight ends close to the line of scrimmage is when you do have them close, there's a lot more pre-snap motion things where you can motion your tight end in, and that tight end becomes the lead blocker of the play. Something else I like to do, and LSU's offense did a really good job of this with Mason Taylor, they would motion him in, and they would snap the football right when he's in, and that gives you 1 extra gap in the running game. That gives you 1 extra hat in the running game that you initially didn't think was going to be there, okay? So, yes, Kingsley, could they split the tight ends out wide a little bit more? Yeah, in particular with Arkansas's tight ends, because we don't know if Shamar Easter is ever going to be anything. All right. He's tight end number 5 anyway. All right. So Posky's your best blocking tight end. Okay. They actually tried to release him on a route. You could see him in the film study. He got held really badly. But the other three tight ends are more of like your blocking or more of your receiving tight ends. So maybe the more I think about it, Kingsley, they should actually split both the tight ends out wide, and you can maybe run a 5 wide set while having their heavier personnel out there thinking that you're getting ready to run the football. You can do that with Gums and Haas, or you can do that with Washington and Gums or Washington and Haas. You can do that and probably be very profitable. So the more I think about it, the more I like it. But Kingsley, with the way teams run two high shells now, I mean, everyone's going to do it. It doesn't make any sense to play single high unless you have Patrick Peterson and Jalen Ramsey. Teams are just going to run too high and force you to run the football. And guess what Arkansas has done? They've ran the football. I mean, I will say this. Arkansas's running scheme has looked so good up to this point. I think they will be able to basically run on a lot of the teams on their schedule. Now, A&M, that's going to be hard. They got a lot of 5 stars. Tennessee, that's also going to be hard. And that's going to be week 5 and 6 games in a row, right? And the Tennessee game will be on the back or on the triple end of 2 road games, basically, an away game and a neutral site in Dallas. But after that, LSU, you should be able to run some on them, right? You saw what Rocket Sanders did to my Tigers last week. You should be able to run on Mississippi State. They got their asses kicked by Toledo. Ole Miss's front is very interesting, but the week before, Ole Miss's front has to play Oklahoma, which has a really good front seven. So you look at that. We'll see what Missouri's defense does. Louisiana Tech a little bit later in the year, and you'll have Texas coming off a bye week, and Texas the week before will get Florida at home. They're terrible. So still, you're going to have some games where you should be able to run the football, right? Now, once again, it's not the cleanest run out of defenses. Auburn's defensive line is normally pretty good. We'll see. They haven't really been tested yet up to this point. But Arkansas's run game is looking really good. Really, really, really good. The timing, the passing up of blocks. Give Sam a lot of credit. Give Eric Mateos a lot of credit. But honestly, it comes down to 2 people. Okay, the 2 biggest factors of a good running game. Of course, your offensive line coach matters, especially if you have a head coach who's also an offensive line coach. But the play caller matters. The running back matters. And you have a little cherry on top with your run game, which is Taylen Green. Taylen Green is so special as a runner. And I referenced this a little bit earlier. What analytics have shown is on average, okay, if you're a running back and you have a transcendent quarterback when it comes to running in the backfield with you, it makes you a more productive running back. Okay. I saw it with Jaden Daniels at LSU. He made a lot of ordinary running backs look like freaking Barry Sanders at times. Okay. Jalen Hurts, Lamar Jackson, the splits with running backs running with them compared to without them is very drastic. Look at what Saquon Barkley has done already in one game. Give him a dual threat quarterback, like a truly transcendent one. I know Daniel Jones can run some, but Jalen Hurts is truly transcendent as a runner. And the Eagles have a good offensive line coach. That matters. But Jalen Hurts makes your running backs better. Miles Sanders leaves the Eagles. He's dust. He's dust. Okay. Ravens. You saw what Lamar Jackson's done for running backs. Okay. So Taylen's going to make your running backs better. At least you would like to think so. All right, so I haven't been to Buena Vista in a while. It's a long way away from me. I hate it when StreamYard does this. Dear Lord, I freaking hate this. Hold on, I'll be right back in here. Hold on. So Fred, dang, I did not think Hot Springs was going to win. I thought everybody was going to say what everyone was going to think. I think we all agree. The best city in Arkansas is Whitehall. Whitehall is by far the best city in Arkansas. Smackover is the best city in Arkansas. I lost half my viewers just going off that little bit. That's okay. I'm surprised somebody said Fort Smith, though, for real. Ooh, A.J. Brown's out tonight? Damn. Damn. I did get a message. Oh, crap. I have A.J. Brown in a few lineups. I do have to take him out. This is urgent matters. A.J. Brown is out. What the hell? I'm going to lose anyway. I'm going up against somebody with freaking Kyler Murray. And he freaking had Alvin Kamara. And I had Rashid Shaheed on my bench. Oh, that would have won me the game. Yo, this is breaking news. This is just sad news, man. I don't know how I'm going to recover. I really don't. And he had James Cook? Oh, I might as well go jump into an erupting volcano full of molten lava and electric eels. You know, one thing that's pissing me off about Facebook? Like, the only thing that I used to just hate about Facebook were the Ponzi schemes. All right, but this pisses me off about Facebook. When people do the everyone and highlight feature, I know what everyone says. Well, go change your settings and why should I have to change my settings for someone doing something so assholish? Now, look, I promote stuff all the time I mean, my life is social media and promotion and getting out there to as many people. And I still believe I'll do like national sports commentary. But damn it, I do, it drives me insane. Drives me insane. But we continue with Nuck of Moose. All right, I got 5 more minutes, y'all. But if you keep the super chats going, I will stay live until the actual game versus Auburn. Don't think that I won't. I've done 6-hour live streams before. I can talk all day. I mean, we can talk about freaking Lou Holtz and the Lou Holtz years at Arkansas if you want to. Y'all want to see my Lou Holtz impersonation? I'm just kidding. I'm not going to do that. So Bobby P versus DJ Durkin. Okay. So the first thing, Nuck of Moose, is I want to first shout out these 2 coaches. Okay. Because these 2 coaches have been model citizens for the SEC. I love the fact that in the SEC, when you have all these controversial figures, that you have 2 coaches with a completely clean record going up against each other. Not only are they geniuses with their schemes and whatnot, they are choir boys. I mean, it is crazy the examples that they have set for young coaches around the country. And if every single coach had a tiny bit of decency, they would call both of these men, these fine gentlemen, and ask if they could spend a week, not talking football, but life guidance. Like, it would be such a huge disgrace to humanity, to every single Homo sapien that has ever walked the face of the earth, for them to not become motivational speakers. It would make no sense. Inky Johnson, you're done. You're done. Bobby P, DJ, I mean, they should start a tandem. But since all of you know about their outstanding track record of humanity, I mean, literally, it goes Gandhi, Malala, Durkin. Okay? We're talking about cultural influences for the positive. It's these two men. But I know none of y'all care about that, and you only care about the football. But there's not enough people out there like myself that are willing to talk about what these two guys have given us. I'm just kidding. Okay, Bobby Petrino versus DJ Durkin. DJ Durkin can get exotic, right? He can throw, a kitchen sink game plan at you. Once again, I have not done my Auburn defensive film study. I will do a defensive breakdown and post it later in the week. But do I think Bobby Petrino has the upper hand? Maybe. I mean, obviously, it does suck that this is another road trip, and this is, the third time that you've had to travel for a game so far this year. And that could be taxing. But, the first game really wasn't anything. You played that on a Thursday, right? I think Petrino going into this game is really going to try and establish it. I also think you're going to see a lot of split zoning the tight end. So what does that mean exactly? Well, you motion your tight end and he crosses behind the line of scrimmage and you throw the football to him in the flat. I think you'll see a lot of that from Arkansas just to get Taylen Green some easy completions going. Now, honestly, I know Hugh Freeze doesn't want anything to do with the defense, especially considering he's the offensive play caller. But if you know of a team and know who their best players are, the head coach will step in and have a convo with the defensive coordinator and say, hey, I'm going to let you do your thing, but don't let their best guys beat us. Okay? So Auburn's going to look at this film and say, well, Taylen Green loves throwing to Andrew Armstrong. So you have to be ready for Andrew Armstrong to be covered, okay? He was running too wide open for me from the UAB side of things. And yeah, there were some plays that Andrew Armstrong made that were just spectacular. But there was also a little too much pitch and catch for me. So you will see some situations where Auburn knows that Taylen Green likes to lock in on Andrew Armstrong, and they're going to bait him into making some throws because, well, a pick six can really change the course of a game, especially if it's on the road. Crowds love pick sixes, and if any crowd knows what a spectacular return looks like, it would be Auburn. Okay? Now, this ethics class brought to you by Moose. Angel Herrera, which I think you share the name with the South Carolina kicker. I don't know if you knew that or not. I know Herrera's his last name. What was his first name? It was, I think it was that. And if you are the South Carolina kicker, welcome. KJ Jefferson makes those throws and we blow them out. You're right. KJ's playing really well at UCF. He was ridiculous versus TCU this past weekend. Now, it was TCU. Their defenses have been terrible since their natty year, but still. But KJ wasn't great last year. A lot of it was him. Also, that was a worse structure and worst offensive line I've ever seen in the SEC as well. I am a noted KJ homer. Okay. I love KJ. I do. I collect his cards. It was time for both to move on. But I think the point you're making, Angel, is we need Taylen Green to make the throws that we know KJ would make. And you're right. But, KJ also wasn't Brandon Allen back there either. If that makes sense. Okay. Now, if you want to get a question in, go ahead and fire it in. There you go. I honestly see. I did miss a few DMs on Twitter. This is from Michael. Okay. Sometimes the Twitter ones don't pop up. And he says, Carter, on your Pro Hogs rant a little bit earlier, why didn't you mention Darren McFadden? Well, you're right. Darren McFadden was, obviously the most famous Arkansas player of this era. But, yeah, I don't want to go down this route again, Michael. I do. But let me ask you this. Do you think, and I don't want this to come off as disrespectful, but do you think every single player on the Arkansas team knows who Darren McFadden is? I'm serious. Because, he played in 07, so it's 2024. So some players weren't even born yet when Darren McFadden were playing. When you think about the portal, I don't know. I would be interested. Like, if I were to go poll every single Arkansas player, do you know who Darren McFadden is? Like, they would obviously know him if, he came there to speak to the team or they did, a Zoom call with him. I don't know. Does Sammy make it till the end of the season? And once again, I'll say this. I think if you play at Arkansas, you should, or whichever school you play at, you should know the most famous player at the school or the best player at the school. Like, if you go to Oklahoma State, I would like to think you know who Barry Sanders is. It would be better if you know who Thurman Thomas is as well, but if you probably know who Barry Sanders is. Does Sammy make it till the end of the season? Yes. Do we see Singleton this game? No. Okay. Yeah, Nakamoose. I would like to think most do. I mean, there's going to be so many murals of them, I'm guessing, around the facility. So I would like to think that they do know who that is. Wait, where is Mountainburg, Arkansas, Scott? Where is that? It is ridiculous. Like that, I went to high school in Arkansas, and I don't know, and I could probably name right now like maybe 15 towns, especially outside of the county I was in. Like I think you don't know Mountainburg either. Like I feel like I could just make up some rural town name. Did you know my auntie's from Helensburgh, Arkansas? And you'd be like, "Damn, I've never been there. What county is it in?" It's in Roanoke, or you could just yeah, it's in Roanoke County. There might actually be a Roanoke County. I don't know. McCrory. What the hell is a McCrory? That's a golfer, isn't it? McCrory? What is a McCrory? Huh? 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 That is crazy. McCrory, that's not a town. That's not a town. I'm sorry. Mm-mm. McCrory, you made that one. Yeah, I've got to know, Dre, if that's a made up one. McCrory, that's not a town. Sorry. Sorry. You don't got me here. Two-time. Is it a town? Farrell Hogman, it is not a town. McCrory. Two-time 2A state champions. Wait, there's not a mosquito fest. There's not a mosquito fest. Uh-uh. There is not a mosquito fest. True story. Okay. Actually, I do need to start planning this. I do need to start planning some kind of get together. Who all is going to the LSU game? I should have ended this a while ago. I've been waiting for John Neighbors, so I don't look like he's coming. But who all's going to the LSU Fest? A game. Type Y for yes, type in for now. So last year, okay, let me okay. There is no mosquito fest at McCrory. I refuse to believe. Who would think that that's a good idea? Like, who has ever thought of a mosquito and said, "Yeah, let's make it our entire identity as a town"? The thing that people, I mean, there's not a single person that likes a mosquito. There's not. There's not. Okay. Outside of the manufacturers of that blue light thing, right? You know, I'm talking about the blue light thing that kills mosquitoes and has like that black fencing around it. What are those things called? I've never understood. Uh, I've never understood what the hell those things are called. And there's no, okay. I've never actually been to East Arkansas. There's no bayou in East Arkansas. There's only bayou where I'm from. There's no such thing as a bayou in East Arkansas. Oh my God. I am learning new things about the state every single day. You've been going 20 years? Oh God. Okay. I'm gonna throw some because I've done so I was a country music DJ in Arkansas. So I got booked to go a lot of these fests. Okay. I'm gonna throw some fest out in Arkansas. And I want you to tell me if it's actually a fest or not. Okay. Okay. I want you to tell me if there is a fest. All right. Type Y for yes, type N for no if this is a festival name. Okay. Did y'all hear about the Hippopotamus Fest? Okay. Type Y for yes, type N for no if that's an actual festival in Arkansas. Type Y for yes, type N for no. What the hell is a black swamp? What is that? Uh, 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 a black swamp. What does that mean? It's that can mean a lot of different things. All right, y'all. All right, there is no hippopotamus fest. There you go. All right. Now type Y for yes, type N for no. If there is an armadillo festival, type Y for yes, type N for no. If there is an armadillo festival in Arkansas, type Y for yes, type N for no. Okay. Is there an armadillo festival? And y'all don't look at anyone else's answers. Okay. Type Y for yes, type N for no. By the way, I'll be live tomorrow at 5. I'm doing a Tennessee show. All right. Look at Farrell. Farrell, you know everything Arkansas. Hold on, I gotta blow your photo up, man. Dude, you've been on fire today. Oh well, this is probably your wife making all these answers because I doubt you know all these. Farrell Hogman, you're not smart enough to know all this. Saw something crazy. One of my broadcasting, I don't really call him a mentor. I don't think he wants me to call him a mentor, but Peter Burns. I'm friends with Peter Burns of the SEC Network. He almost died, choked on some food. And 3 different people. Okay. She's a Louisiana girl. Okay, well, you married up. You married up, Farrell. You married up, bro. And as you know, I'm a Louisiana guy because we're the best. I'm sorry. So Farrell was like, no wonder why I like this guy's YouTube so much. A Louisiana guy giving Arkansas commentary. Hey, we gave you Jared Cornelius. I mean, we've given you a lot of good players. Okay. But Peter Burns almost died this weekend in Missouri. So he's eating at a restaurant. And 3 different people tried the Heimlich maneuver on him and couldn't get it. And the 4th guy came in and saved him. The 4th guy saved his life. Okay. I've not listened to the full story in the SEC Network. I need to touch up on the Heimlich maneuver. Armadillo Festival. I DJ'd the Armadillo Festival last year. Open for a legendary country act. Actually, I was the middle for a legendary country act. There was another good act from Northwest Arkansas. I don't remember. But I don't remember who this country artist was. He had a bunch of followers and fans and all of that. So, yeah, I'm an Armadillo Fest artist. I don't know if I want to call myself an artist. Yeah, I do need to take a CPR class. I do. I feel like I know the Heimlich maneuver, right? You just get right here and you just, The Benton County Testicle Festival. That's otherwise known as Fraternity Rush. Now, that'll just about do it for me. Remember, bench A.J. Brown. He's not playing today, unfortunately. I know a lot of you are going to cry. Like, I listened to the guy talk about Arkansas football, said that John Neighbors is going to be there, but he ghosted you. But instead, I gave you the best fantasy advice. Fist under the last rib and squeeze as hard as you can. Testy Fest. Okay. Pink Tomato Fest. Fred's coming in. So he's a little bit behind. It's called a zapper, the little blue thing with the mosquito fest. All right, next week, next Monday at 5, we'll hopefully have another guest. And next week, you need to come with the most random festival name. Okay? It is Power Hour SEC. Boom! Set a record for Super Chats tonight. Shout out to Bradley, TPG, and Nuck of Moose in Roanoke, Arkansas. I know you're not in Roanoke. I just wanted to say Roanoke. We'll be back live tomorrow, 5 p.m. for Oklahoma versus Tennessee live stream. And tonight, we're having some leftover steak, baby. Oh, man. Let's go.